All right, this is the CRBN TruFoam Barrage, the third flavor in this TruFoam series that began last January. It's a layered foam paddle with a very specific performance profile, fast in hand, strong spin numbers, and a reactive center response that defines how it plays in short exchanges. Eventually, Barrage will come in all four shapes, but at launch, it will only be available in the 4 hybrid and the 2 standard widebody. Both share the same core construction and most of the same measurements, but they diverge in one meaningful way that's worth understanding before you buy. Full disclosure, CRBN sent me both paddles to test with no strings attached, no money changed hands. I'm not obligated to create any content for them, and these are my honest impressions. They retail for $279. You can find them at crbnpickleball.com. Links for both shapes are in the description. I do have a discount code. You can use code MPB to save at checkout, but CRBN is trying something new, and they're asking us to ask you to use code MPB-TFB for this one. Again, both will work and help support this channel. The Barrage is part of CRBN's TruFoam lineup, but it's not a standard foam slab build. The internal construction is layered. At the center, you've got an EPP foam section with void cutouts. Surrounding that is a thin EVA perimeter ring. Then an outer EPP foam layer extends from that ring all the way out to the paddle edge and down into the handle. So the core has 3 distinct zones: EPP center, EVA ring, outer EPP, rather than a uniform block of material throughout. The face is carbon fiber with a coarse peel-ply texture. The frame uses a carbon fiber seam structure, and the whole thing is formed under heat and pressure. Core thickness is 14 millimeters across both shapes. And both shapes also share the same handle, 5.5 inches long with a 4.125 inch grip. The design intent is fairly clear from those construction choices. The layered foam architecture is engineered to produce a reactive, fast rebounding paddle rather than a dwell-heavy pocketing one. However, dwell and pocketing are not lacking. The EPP center section is where most of the action happens, and the void cutouts in that center contribute to the paddle's low swing weight overall. This is not a plush, soft-feeling, pillowy foam experience, but it's not overly stiff either. It's in that happy middle zone. The Barrage is built to be quick and responsive it is. Let's talk through the physical specs for both shapes, starting with the Barrage 4 Hybrid. It measures 16.125 by 7.875 inches, pretty standard for a hybrid footprint. It comes in at 7.94 ounces, which is on the lighter side. Swing weight is 109.75, very light and quick through the zone, well below the dataset average for that shape. Twist weight is 6.65, which lands at average stability. Bounce point sits at 24.3 centimeters, essentially neutral. Surface roughness measures 7.361 microns above average texture. The Barrage 2 standard shape measures 16 by 7.875 inches, your wide body footprint. Static weight is 7.99 ounces, basically the same. Swing weight is identical at 109.75, same fast feel in hand. Twist weight is where these two shapes separate. The standard comes in at 7.05, well above average torsional stability. Bounce point is 24.2 centimeters, neutral. Surface roughness is 7.891 microns, so high texture. But note, you might not feel that roughness when you run your fingers over the paddle surface. That measurement is taken at the microscopic level with a surface roughness instrument. Now for performance. The full numbers are on the screen, but here's what they mean. Spin comes in above average on both shapes consistently. That's one of the Barrage's clearest strengths, and it shows up immediately on court. Serve speed is above average on both. Solid power output, not extreme, but meaningfully above the dataset average. Now, no disrespect, but something I'm really tired of hearing is boomstick or loco level power. Barrage is in the same ballpark. Punch volley speed is above average as well. This is a pop forward paddle, and that pop shows up most clearly on short swings and quick exchanges. During play, the first thing you notice picking up the Barrage is how fast it feels. The swing weight sits in the bottom 20% of paddles I've tested, so it accelerates quickly, it's fast, you feel that in warm-up, and it becomes relevant the moment you get into any kind of hand exchange. On full drives, the Barrage produces solid pace with good topspin. It's not a maximum power paddle. The serve speed data confirms that, and that's a good thing. But drives carry enough weight to pressure opponents without feeling uncontrolled, even for a 14mm unit. What stands out is the spin. With spin numbers well above average, topspin drives dip consistently. You can take aggressive cuts and trust the ball to stay in the court more often than you can with lower spin paddles. Contact feels dense and firm. The ball doesn't sink into the face, it comes off quickly. If you're used to paddles that feel like they pocket the ball, this will feel a touch different, more compact, less give. Counters and punch volleys are where the Barrage earns its identity. The reactive center response means the ball redirects quickly on short strokes. You don't need much backswing. During hand battles, the paddle moves fast and comes back fast. That combination of low swing weight and above average pop is what you want when you're trading attacks at the kitchen. Speed-ups are easy to redirect. Counters feel sharp and immediate. Dinking is controlled, but not exactly soft. The ball doesn't dwell in the face as other softer foam core paddles do, so you're working with a consistent, predictable rebound rather than a spongy feel. The spin helps here. You can roll cross-court dinks, add a bit of topspin to keep the ball low, and shape soft shots with more confidence than you'd get on a smoother paddle. But players who prefer a plush, forgiving dink feel will need to recalibrate their touch coming from a softer paddle. Third shot drops are easy to pull off once you understand how the paddle performs. Because there's not much pocketing, the drop relies more on your angle and swing path than on the paddle absorbing energy for you. When the mechanics are right, the ball comes off cleanly and the spin carries well into the next court. Resets are solid on centered contact and noticeably less consistent toward the edges. On clean contact, the paddle handles incoming pace well enough to keep the ball in the net zone. But the sweet spot drop-off is real, more concentrated than you'd find on a thicker foam build with a larger reactive area. When reset contact drifts, the ball can come off firmer or lose depth. This is a paddle that responds well to consistent, centered contact. Blocks feel stable even in stock form, and that's where the difference between the two shapes becomes tangible in play, which I'll get into in a minute. This is a fast, spin-heavy foam paddle with a reactive center and a firmer feel than most foam builds. The construction explains it. The layered EPP architecture doesn't behave like a uniform slab. It produces a quicker, slightly more trampoline-like response. Combined with the swing weight well below average and spin numbers in the top 10% of paddles I've tested, the Barrage lands in a specific niche. Paddles that prioritize speed and spin generation over soft feel and wide forgiveness. That's a real trade-off worth understanding before you buy. Players who want a foam paddle for its typically soft, more pocketing characteristics may find the Barrage doesn't deliver that. Players who want a fast, spin-heavy paddle that performs well in fast exchanges, that's exactly where this one lives. Within the TruFoam lineup, I think the Barrage is the most pop-forward option. The Genesis sits in the middle, more balanced, more dwell time. The Waves leans towards soft feel and pocketing. The Barrage is the reactive end of that spectrum. I think the Barrage is a strong fit for players who want a fast handling paddle with above average spin and strong counter performance. If you're looking for a tool for hand battles, counterattacks at the kitchen, and solid spin generation, this paddle is set up to support that style. It's also worth considering if you're coming from a heavier paddle and want something that moves faster without giving up spin output. That low swing weight combined with high spin numbers is not a combination you find everywhere. It's not the right paddle if you're looking for a soft, pocketing foam feel. It's also not ideal if you miss a lot of contact toward the edges of the face, because the sweet spot is a touch more concentrated. Between the two shapes, if you want more reach and faster counters, go hybrid. If you want more stability, forgiveness on off-center contact, and fast hand speed, go standard. So that's it. That's the CRBN TruFoam Barrage review. Fast handling, above average spin, above average pop. The Barrage delivers a specific performance profile and delivers it consistently across both shapes. The trade-off is a firmer, slightly less forgiving feel than softer foam builds and a slightly tighter sweet spot. If that profile fits your game, it's a paddle worth serious consideration. If you played the Barrage or you're coming from another TruFoam paddle, drop a comment. I'd love to hear how it compared for you. Code MPB gets you a discount at carbonpickleball.com, but if you remember, try code MPB-TFB just for this one. Links for both shapes are in the description below. If this was helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.